Go ahead.
My name is Ruth Osteen. I'm 85 years old. I'm a widow. I can no longer see to read or write, and I'm in a wheelchair. But we bought this farm in 1960, and up until recently, we felt free that I raised chickens and turkeys to feed people. I've had 7 girls and 7 boys and a whole lot of grandkids. And up until recently, I felt like we was free as long as we was in the country to have something to say about our own land. That we could do whatever we could to make it a better place to live and all that. And recently, a fellow came to the door by the name of Alfredo, and he had a crew and they do cement work. But anyway, he wanted to know if they could put their equipment on a piece of our land that wasn't being used for anything at all. And then he was going to fix it so I could at least get outside, because so far I have to stay in the house because it's too hard to go outside. He was going to make it so I could get out in my wheelchair and fix it out. Anyway, they did move a camper here, and 2 of his crew was staying there, and then he went on with, he left a backhoe here for us to use for a whole month for nothing. And the 2 that was here of his crew was living in a camper, and they trimmed the trees and raked up, cleaned up all the yard and everything, things I couldn't do any longer. They did all that. They worked hours and hours and hours to make it better. And then 3 weeks ago, a member from the zoning company came out and said the county commissioners had passed a moratorium, whatever that means, where you couldn't have any campers in your yard anymore. No temporary housing, nothing. And not only that, you couldn't even have a truck or a backhoe or anything like that unless it belonged to you. I don't even own a bobcat. Nothing like that at all. Just me. And these people came to help us, and they did a lot. They weren't hurting anybody. We hardly knew they was there. It was only their boss that speaks English, and then somebody from the zoning company came out and insisted that if we didn't move if they didn't leave this land, then, which I considered my property, was that they would fine us $1,000 a day, and for them just being here. Well, they did move, so I lost all the help that I needed. And then in the meantime, they sent a letter to my son whose property joins mine, saying that if he had any campers or anything on his ground, then they would he would be fined $1,000 a day for each camper. He had 2 of them here, and he said, well, I can't afford that kind of a fine. And they said, well, then we'll just take your land. And have we lost all our rights? I want everybody who's listening to this or seeing it or whatever, wake up, wake up. This is the United States of America, and as citizens, we either have some rights or we've lost them all. There's quite a few people from this family alone that has served in the armed forces to fight for our freedom. Evidently, we don't have any anymore. If they can say that you can't live in a camper, they weren't here when the covered wagons came. When the covered wagons came, they had to live in that covered wagon with their families for months and months. They didn't have any money, but they took chunks of sod out of the ground and made sod houses, because in order to keep their land, they had to build some kind of a house during that year and to stay there. I'm sure glad nobody was here to stop them. We have as United States citizens, we have the right for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you're a farmer, you're going to be up many, many nights, maybe 4 hours of sleep at night. You're either delivering calves or you're running a combine all night long, or whatever we go through as farmers, simply to feed people. And if just a few people in the county or the city can decide what we can do or what we can't do on our own property, something's wrong somewhere. There has to be a law higher than here. The highest law I know is the laws of God, and He insists that we help people that need help. And this has hit us pretty hard out here, but in the city of Williston, I'm from Williams County in North Dakota, and the city close to our farm is Williston. And recently, because we have so many people that have come here either on foot or whatever, but a lot of them bought their own campers, and then they had no place to put them. And some of the people in the city of Williston decided, well, you can use a little piece of my backyard or my driveway to park your camper. And then the city passed a law saying that there wasn't any allowed, or they was going to be fined $1,000 a day. If you're going to be fined $1,000 a day for helping people, something's wrong somewhere. If we don't have any rights to see what's going on our own property, why are we paying taxes? This, both what the city and the county has done, is very unjust and unfair, and I've asked them over and over, why can't I have a camper in my yard? In the country. They don't give any reasonable answer. Their only count was, well, they can go to the man camps. Man camps aren't that great, and they're charging a lot of money. And if we want to use a little piece of our land in the country to let somebody sit there with a camper, why can't we? I just urge everybody that whether you live in a town or the country or wherever you're living, look up the laws and see what right you have. We either have laws to protect us from laws like this that they have passed, city or county ordinances, or this isn't the United States that I know. It's always been a place where, Williston, North Dakota has always been a place where people could come and get help if they needed it. These people came because our mayor kept saying, come to Williston, there's lots of jobs. And there are a lot of jobs. They could face lots of places that closed because they couldn't get any help. And these people came here to get help. We're obligated to help them. If we had an earthquake or a tornado or something like that, we surely would help them, wouldn't we? And what this country has done to the African Negroes, the slaves, and to the precious Indian people will go down in history as a terrible shame that this country has done. I don't see much difference between that and what we're doing to those people. In Minot, when it flooded, the government bought trailer houses and brought them up there for them to live in while their houses are being prepared so they have a place to live. These people didn't ask anybody to buy anything. They bought their own houses. Maybe it was just a camper. It was still, to them it was still a house. And so far as I know, they're a lot better than a covered wagon. And they're self-sufficient in every way. And this camper that was sitting in my yard was not hurting anybody whatsoever. They was only helping me. And I needed the help. And now I have it no longer because the county commissioners decided to say that nobody can have a camper in their yard. It's an unfair and unjust moratorium, whatever they want to call it. And I want justice.